Hey, hey, good
All right.
afternoon. Good afternoon, Chris. I'm very, very happy to talk finally with you. We planned this discussion for a long time. Jai Shri Mataji.
Jai Shri Mataji,
It's
Daniel,
a
and Jai Shri Mataji
great,
to all of you.
great pleasure
Yeah.
to have this discussion with you, and welcome to everybody who are watching us. Obviously, we are Chris Kiriakou. He's there. His name is there, and um, I have to tell you that I know about Chris Kiriakou from different other people. We are neighbors here. I'm in New Zealand. He's in Australia from 1981, so long, long, long time before me in this part of the world. I knew a few things about him, but I don't have the chance to meet him until the Sri Maha Ganesha Puja held in September in 2019, which for me was a peak of my life in Sahaja Yoga. One of the good things happened there, obviously, was puja and another three pujas and Havan, but meeting a lot of other people. I meet a lot of beautiful people from Perth to Cairns. So between these people was Chris Kiriakou. And since there, we change a little bit of, yeah, we talk a little bit, but my main reason for talking with him was the fact that he have a channel exactly like this one, and he was an inspiration for me for starting this channel. So his dialogues with fellow Sahaja Yogis, his documented the music of joy and other events was for me an inspiration. So having now the circle close for me, it's a very good thing. So Chris Kiriakou, it's a Sahaja Yogi from 1981. He was part of the council in Australia from 2005 2010, and after that again, he will tell us a little bit of this. Um, uh, Chronological, biographical stuff in Sahaja Yoga, but we don't have a plan. I have to tell you, dear people, we don't have a plan. We're just starting spontaneously. So I will let Chris tell us whatever he wants from the beginning. From time to time, maybe I will ask some questions about what's happened in that year and what Shimataji said. So, dear Chris,
All right.
welcome to our program. You you can tell us
All
whatever
right.
you believe.
Thank you, Daniel, and welcome to all the people who are listening to this talk. I send you full Sahaj respects and love to all people, and we pray that the unity and the collective prosper. So, as Daniel mentioned, I came to Sahaj Yoga in 1981 in Sydney. I was a university student. Um, at that stage, I have to be fair to say I was not a seeker. My brother was a very, very strong seeker. He was seeking the truth, since he was a young man. And in 1981, I was home, just watching TV, watching soccer, and he rushed in and he said, "I finally found it. I found the truth." And I said, "What have you found?" He said, "I've met Shramanaji Nirmala Devi. I went to the ashram. I washed her feet. I felt a wind coming off her. This is the truth. You must come." And as a young man embedded in Western society, I said, "Hey, you washed some lady's feet. You felt some breeze. You're rushing in here and you're saying the whole world has changed." I said, "It sounds a little bit far fetched to me." Cut a long story short, Shimadaji, I actually came to the collective before Shimadaji came to Australia. And I met the original people. And the tendency in the early days was for Sahaja Yoga to be very autocratic. The leaders were the leaders. They were an authority figure,
Yep.
both secular, spiritual, emotional, at all levels, and they tended to direct, you to do things. And the assumption is that they were motivated by spiritual and aspirational and altruistic aims. But as coming in as an outsider and a young man, I just felt a lot of control. I felt a lot of ego. I felt a lot of people, lording it over other people. And when they started telling me I had to do this and I had to do that and I had to leave my house and come and move into the ashram and do what they said, change my career. I mean, there's all sorts of life things. I just said, this is not what I think is a spiritual movement. So I stopped coming.
You are talking about 1981.
1981. And then in 1983, Shimalaji came to Australia for a tour. And my brother came to me and said, Shimalaji sent a message to everybody who was in Sahaja Yoga before, who left because of the autocratic leaders, to come to the program and she would cure everything, make everything right. And I was a little bit, yeah, okay, maybe. So I was open. So the night of the program came, Shimalaji was in Sydney. My brother was very keen to go. He didn't drive a car. I drove the car. So I said, I'll drive you. So I was driving to the venue, and it was in the middle of a very busy part of the city. There's a hall, and right outside the hall, just as we were driving up, a car pulled out. And I said, my brother said, look, car spot, just pull in. You can drop me right in front. So I pulled in, and he said, come on, it's going to be an hour. Shimalaji, you're going to go Shimalaji. You park the car, come in. So I go, fine, I'll come in. So I walked in, sat down, the hall was packed full of people. Within a short time, Shimalaji came. The MC then stood up and said, as a sign of respect, everyone should stand. So everyone stood up. But I sat down. I sat down because I'm the driver. I'm the chauffeur. I'm not here because of the program. My brother is. So he stood up. So I just sat down, and I was sitting there, and at a certain point, you know, when someone's looking at you in a certain way, you feel like this hairs on the back of your hair stand up. I sort of felt this huge pressure in me, and I turned to the side and looked. And as Shimalaji was walking down the aisle, she paused where the aisle I was, and she looked down at me and smiled. And I caught her eye. At that moment, it felt like someone had a blanket over my head and pulled it off, and all the light flooded in. And I sort of jumped up with everybody else, and I was standing there like something had happened. And everyone sat down, and I was still standing up, stunned. And I was standing there looking around. My eyes were sort of shining. My brother pulled my shirt, said, sit down, sit down. Sat down. He said, put his hand above my head and said, feel that, feel that. And I put my hand above my head. He said, do you feel that? And I said, yeah, I feel that. He said, that's what this is all about. It's not about all the things that you've experienced. It's reality. So the program ended, and then Shimalaji in those days would ask you to come to the stage and have an audience with her. So we all queued up, and everyone's going up, and we came to Shimalaji, and then she said, how are you, my child? And I said, I'm very good, Shimalaji. She said, show me your hands. So I put my hands in her lap, and she looked and she said, good, but there's work to be done. And I said, yes, Shimalaji. And she said, you don't look very happy. You just had your realization. You've had a life-changing experience. You look sad. Why are you sad? And I said, Shimalaji, I've had an experience, and I know this is the truth. And I'm sad because all the life that I've just had is now gone, and it's meaningless. The friends, the parties, all the things I used to do has no meaning now because this is the truth. And I'm sad because I'm leaving that life behind, and I'm not sure it's in front of me with this group of people that normally I wouldn't be socializing with. And Shimalaji said, you treat Sahaja Yoga as a day-by-day proposition. Are you enjoying it? Are you happy? Don't think about the future. Don't think about the past. Live in the present. Treat it day by day. And if you're happy every day, that's all you can hope for. And one day, maybe you'll be happy to be part of it. And I just said, that sounds like a very reasonable. I thanked her, left, and that's what I did. Every day, I took it as a day-by-day proposition, and I just progressed through Sahaja Yoga. So, but I then eventually left my house, moved into the ashram, and I committed. So it became my life. It wasn't just something I did. I realized it was the truth. It was what I wanted to do. And then from about 1983 onwards, I was committed yogi. There was a collective was growing. We were doing programs. We felt part of something important, that we were changing the country, that we were, through our efforts, people were coming. And Shimalaji in those days in Australia, she came frequently, 83, 85, 87, 89, 91. She'd come frequently. And as I sort of progressed in my stage, I realized a couple of things. One, someone, Yogi Mahajan once told me, Sahaja Yoga is integration of the three yogas. It's the integration of all. And there are three yogas. There's Raja Yoga, which is the yoga of action. There's Kriya Yoga, and there's Bhakti Yoga. So she said all three things must be done.
Yep.
You must have Bhakti.
Yep.
You must do the puja. You must do all the worship, which is on the left side. You must do the right side, which is you have to do activity, go and spread. You can't do one or the other. And the third, which is the ascent. You have to have that desire to go on India tours, be with Shrimataji, and to ascend. He said all three things are in balance and they are as important. You can't sit at home and do puja. You can't just go on tours. You have to do the work, but you can't only do the work. You must do the work and do the bhakti. So it's all in balance. Yeah. So all of us, got that message, and we're all active in doing things. So I'll share an important thing that happened. So I started getting responsibility in Sahaja Yogi.
Just one little things to make clear. So everything you told me now, it's happened. I mean, the excuse me, the last meeting or the first meeting with Shrimataji was in 1983.
Yes.
When you been exactly opposite to the others. When they
yes.
they stand up, you stand up.
You stand up.
Yes. You have the habit to be opposite. just joking.
I've always been independently minded. I've always had this thing about don't just follow, do what you think from the heart. Don't just do things because somebody else is doing or you've been told. So you have to have
sign.
You have to have authenticity, integrity in what you do.
That's a sign of a guru, of your the sign that you get it right, the quality of being your own guru, the left nabi. Dear Chris, usually I start my discussion with people, even if I know them, if I even, excuse me, if I don't know very well, about what's happened before Sahaja Yoga, and a little bit of background about you as a person. Obviously, you are from or the parents are from Greece.
Yes.
So you told me that you don't have your brother. Probably he's still in Sahaja Yoga.
He is. He is.
Your brothers drag you.
Yes.
But how you come in Australia, if you can tell a few things about your job.
So
and
my parents are a Greek Cypriot, so we're from Cyprus. They immigrated after the war in the 50s, as many people did from Europe, because there was it was war torn and there wasn't very great opportunities. My mother was one of 8 girls, and in Greek culture, you have to give a dowry. So her father realized 8 girls, it's impossible. Leave the country, go somewhere else, start up. So that's how my mum came out. My father's similar. So they met. They were arranged marriage, as Greeks do. They married, and so I was born in Australia, and they worked. They were like many migrants that come to a new country. They were motivated by material success. So they worked very hard. My father got educated, and they became very successful. Became very, quite well placed in society. So I grew up in a, very loving, balanced family. I went to a good school. I got a good education. I went to university. I had a good group of social friends. I was active in sports, and I had a very, I had a very happy and a very settled life. I was, I wasn't, searching for things. I had everything I wanted. I was getting educated. I had a career in front of me. I had a good circle of friends.
But you live in a Greek community by that time. Your parents, it's kind of belonging to.
Yeah, we always call ourselves Greek Australians because we see ourselves as Greek first and Australian second, but we're part of a Greek community. Interestingly, I was going to Greek church most of my life. My father encouraged, he used to take me. And I can remember when I was a boy, because Greek Orthodox Church is in ancient Greek, so no one understands the liturgy. It's all worship. You recite, but you don't understand it. So we're doing all that. And one day when I was a bit older, about 13, 14, I said to my dad, why am I here? I said, I don't understand anything that's going on. It goes for 2 hours. We're standing up most of the time. Yep. I said, why are we here? I'm not really getting into this. And my dad looked down to me and he said, be quiet. He said, I'm doing something very important for you. I'm putting God into your life. He said, right now you're too stupid to understand that. When you're older, you'll appreciate what I've done when you discover God for yourself. But I'm getting you used to the habit of worship. He said, a lot of Christians, they study the Bible and they go into intellectually to understand every word of the Bible. He said, that's one path. He said, in the Greek tradition, it's about worship. It's about surrender. We don't have to understand every word. We go, we praise, we go home. So I'm getting into that habit. And later on, when I got my self-realization, all of those truths, came back to me. I went back to him and thanked him for, taking me to the church and getting me into the habit. Because I said, you're right. it's about the worship of the divine, having the awe of the divine. So I was very lucky to have a very spiritual father.
I have a question for you.
Yes,
Have you watched the movie My Big Greek
yes.
Fat Wedding?
It's not a movie; it's a documentary. There's,
Exactly,
there's nothing
exactly.
wrong in that film. Every word, every
Yeah,
line, every interaction. I'm going. That's my grandmother. That's my aunt. That's my
yes,
brothers. They're my
yes.
cousin. It's
Everything.
funny, but it's actually
Yeah.
everything is real in that movie.
Yes, it's true. We used to watch it. Andre also used to watch it, and I bring that into discussion because if people wants to know better, Chris, but also me, because I came from the same Balkan area and Orthodox Christians, and I know exactly what he's talking about. I was raised by my grandfather who was a priest, so I've been in the church in the altar, not there, not
Yes,
with the people. So I know exactly what he's talking about, but I wish as many people as possible who watching us follow our discussion to go to that movie to understand a little bit this part of
yes.
the world.
It's very accurate. It's
Yes.
very accurate.
So yeah,
All
that's
right. So we're in Sahaja Yogi. It's in the 80s. Shamaji's coming. I started getting responsibility as a city leader, ashram leader. So I started. They saw that cause we're well organized. You know, I remember when I started to have responsibility, there was a very important talk that I grew up on. It's called Statutes of the Lord. It's in London in 1981 or two, and in it, Shamaji gives very clear indications about the priorities that God has given mankind. And I remember the number one thing, the first statute of the Lord that Shimadaji gave us: do no harm. Right? She didn't say the most important thing was to get your spiritual realization, to spread Sahaja Yoga, to do all the other things. The most important, the first one was do no harm. The next one was to help people, to do what you could to make things better. And the third one was to pursue your spirit and I always remembered that was do no harm and help people. So I approached the responsibilities that were given in Sahaja Yoga with those in mind, and having seen other leaders, perhaps do harm and do things that I felt were injurious to the spirit or the good nature of some people. So then I learned that's not. I didn't see authoritarian leadership. I always felt, was not in harmony to what I thought Shamaji would want us to do, even though it became very prevalent all over the world. And it's an aspect about power. It's a bit like, I always relate it to Lord of the Rings. When you get the ring of power, it tends to consume you, and you become that authority rather than the person who was wearing it. So I've seen in Sahaja a lot that leadership can tend to corrupt people. So I've always been very wary of going down that same mistake and being authoritarian, controlling, and harming people. I never wanted to do that. I've always tried to be benevolent, try to be kind, and help people, because I think that's what, as I said, the statutes of the Lord say: do no harm, help people, pursue your scent.
I want to ask you something.
Yes.
In my discussion with all people in Sahaja Yoga, not old people, all people in Sahaja, all Sahaja Yogis,
Yeah.
who still in Sahaja Yoga even now, I'm asking them what, because also like you, I witness a lot of people who go out from Sahaja Yoga. The closer they get to Shimataji, the bigger the chance for them to go. And if they go, it's okay. But if they go and talk ill, it's
Yeah.
worse. So I ask them, and I will ask you as well, because you've been close to Shimataji, you've been in the position of power, so-called.
Yeah.
What, first of all, what is Shimataji for you? Because that's a part of the answer, and how you manage to be close to Shimataji, to be in that position of power and not uh, burn your wings or.
Great question. Great question. Now, you're right. So it's towards the later part of the 90s, I started, because I was the roles I was in were going higher and higher. I started to have time with Shamaji, and as you said, I've observed from the 80s right through to the 90s, so 20 years, you look at all the people who are so-called physically close to Shamaji, and so many of them, were spun out of Sahaja Yoga or went down the wrong way. So I kept thinking to myself, learn, don't make the same mistake. All right. So one of my great brothers and great friends is Hari Gaikwad, and he's been my brother, a friend. I've known him for 40 years.
Hari?
And Hari, and
Hari
Gaikwad.
Gaikon.
Gaikwad. Hari Gaikwad.
Okay.
People who watch his talk will know him. He's known. Unfortunately, he's known for many of the wrong, aspirations or allegations people put on. But I know him as my brother, and he's been Shri Shamaji since he was a Yuva. All right. There are 3 Yuvas who came to Sahaja Yoga in Pune. One's Hari, one's Sandeep, and one's Sanjay. There are 3 of them, and to my mind, they're the 3 of the people that have been around Shamaji most of their lives, have never spun out. So I think, well, how have they done it where all the others have failed?
Who are those 3, including Yogi Mahajan?
One's Sandeep Gadkare,
yeah.
Sandeep Gadkare, Sanjay Mane, and Hari Gaikwad. They're 3 Indian boys who came to Sahaja Yoga in Pune, who've been around Shamaji all their lives. And
but was also Yogi Mahajan there?
Yogi Mahajan as well. Yogi has also been around Shamaji a long time, but he became, I think, a victim of political movements. But we won't go into that. Yep. So the question was, I asked my friends, Hari and Sandeep and Sanjay, how do you survive this? Because now that I'm starting to come to the role, I don't want to make the same mistake. And they gave me some very great advice. They said, in their opinion, the people that survive, who come in front of Shamaji, they survive because they come with no ulterior motive. Right? They don't want power, they don't want position, they don't want influence over other people. They come from bhakti and they come from service. So they said that's, to them, that's one of the keys, is you must be authentic and genuine in your reason for being there. If you come with an ulterior motive, you might survive for a time, but that ulterior motive is in some way impure. And you're always judged by your actions. That's the thing about Shamaji. When you come in front of Shamaji, often the whole thing about judgment and repercussions happens much faster. So that's why you see so many people come and then spin out, because they've come with other motives, and eventually those karma plays out. So another thing Hari said to me before the 2005 tour. So in 2005, Shamaji came for 3 months. So we were going to be in front of Shamaji every day for 3 months. So he said to me, that advice I gave you, he said, the best way of thinking about it, when you're in front of Shamaji, is you're like wallpaper. You're stuck on the wall, you decorate the place, you do a job, but you just watch and listen, and you don't think you're playing a role. You're just there, and you're there for service. And that's been the way I've approached. Interestingly, one observation I've made is when you're in the room with Shamaji and Sir and Sandadidi, in a way you can feel all around you that the deities are all there. You feel the awe of being in her presence. And it's always a bit, to me, like walking the razor's edge. It's a very fine line. If you slip, there's damage. So what I found all those years I was going around Shamaji, the best place where I had the spiritual experiences wasn't in the room with Shamaji. It was just outside in the hallway with the door closed.
Yes.
Because then you're in that sort of physical presence, but you're not before the Devi. The door's closed, and you can be in Sarastra and be in this beautiful meditative state and get all those blessings without, all the protocols. Because around Shamaji, there's immense protocols. You can't, things you can do, can't do, things you can say. You have to always remember you're in front of the Devi. You're not in front of this lady Nirmala Shavasta. You're in front of Jagadamba. So the way you approach her, the way you speak, the demeanor that you have to have that awe of the divine at all times. So you can't be there meditating and having your hands out and being, in a way, selfish. You have to be there to serve. But outside the room, in the hallway, when the door was closed, I could sit and meditate and had amazing experiences, some of the most deepest meditations I've had. And that was, in a way, what was it, the blessing or the the repayment, whatever word you want to use, for being of service, you can meditate outside that room and be in that a really divine state. But in the room, different. In the room was you were in front of the Devi, and sometimes she was in different moods. But in the 90s and the 2000s, she was Nirmala Srivastava, Shamanajinama Devi, all these different roles. But from 2005 on, when she wasn't speaking, I found that she was much more of the Devi, much more, in a way, awe of her. She was, in a way, sometimes she could be terrifying because she'd be in that Devi form. And if she saw something she didn't like, she'd get quite angry and things. So you had to be in those 2005 times when she wasn't speaking so much. I felt more of the Devi form and less of Srimati Nirmala Devi or Nirmala Srivastava there. And you had to be, there for service. That's what we were there for. We weren't there for ourselves. We were there because, there were things to be done. Now, a very critical thing happened. All right. So in the 90s, Shimaji signed a letter that said, "I don't want medical treatment," and that letter is not a fake. She signed it, and that was her intention at that time. And when the Australians started to go with nurses and doctors and a lot of Romanians, I got to say, a lot of the big core of the people that were with service were the Romanians. They were fantastic. I bow to each one of them. They were all fantastic. I just loved them to death. They were people that were selfless. They worked hard. They could work day and night. They weren't in their heads so much. They weren't there for anything else but to be of service. I just loved them all. They're all fantastic, and they brought great credit to your country and Sahaja Yogi in the way they were. And CCP and Shimadaji really appreciated them because, up until the 2000s, you had all different types of people, and sometimes it can be a bit of a circus with people doing all sorts of things. But so the letter said Shimadaji. She said in the 90s, "I don't want medical help." But then in 2005. The need was, if Shimadaji was to stay on the earth for longer, was that doctors were prescribing medicines. So a lot of people criticized us, me, Hari, the others, the doctors, saying, "We have this letter and you're doing something that's against Shimadaji's will." And we were conflicted, but we just said at every point in time, we do what our mother asks us to do. So we give the medicines, we do the medical treatments. And she did speak from 2005 on. She spoke on occasion. She didn't speak all the time, but there were occasions when she spoke. And the occasions when she spoke and we're giving the medicines, she never said, "Stop," or "I don't want this," or "You're doing something against my will." She's our mother. She's our guru. If at any point, even though the family are saying we have to treat her medically to extend her life, we're her children. If she'd said, "I don't want this treatment," it would have stopped then and there, or we would have left. We wouldn't have done anything against her will. But from 2005 to the end, on no occasion, all occasions when she spoke, and she spoke publicly, Guru Puja 2008, Navratri Puja in Sydney 2007, she spoke on public occasions. And those public occasions, she could have said publicly, "I don't want this treatment," or "This is against my will." It never happened. So a really important thing happened. So 2012, right at the end, 2 weeks before the end, I was in Genoa with the Australians. I wasn't actually in the room when this happened, but I was there in the morning. I left. But in the afternoon, 2 weeks before the Mahasamadhi, Shimadaji called all the carers up to her room in Genoa in the dining room. The Romanians, the Australians, the doctors, the gardeners, the cleaners, the cooks, the nurses, everybody. It's about 30 people in the room. And she said, "At this point, I want to thank you all for looking after me. I want to thank you for your service." She said, "I want to thank my husband for looking after me for all these years. I want to thank Sanaditi, my daughter, for being dedicated and looking after me." So at that point, when she was 2 weeks before the Samadhi, she could have said, "I'm not happy with you all." Or she could have said, "I didn't want the treatment." She could have said all those things that they make up about CCP interfering or Sahaja Yogi. She could have said any of those things. She didn't say any of it. She just said, "I'm happy." And she gave everybody gifts, shawls for the men, saris for the ladies. And it was a moment where we felt we did the right thing. We did the service. We didn't get our egos involved. We did what we were asked to do. And at the end of the time, the Davy thanked us. So what more could we ever want than that? So all the things that happened since then, the criticisms or whatever, to me, it's irrelevant. I have, one day with Shimataji is worth all the lifetime of tribulations that people put on you. So I'm going to share a couple other things that happened.
Just a second before
Sure.
Because I don't want to interrupt you when I make notes about questions. So
Sure.
sometime I will get the chance to put some questions.
Sure.
Because you touched that very, very sensitive subject and very sad subject when accusation about the people who wants to kill Shimataji or do wrong to Shimataji. It's completely outrageous. So every time when because I don't know the details, I have only one answer to this kind of people. My answer is God cannot die. And God cannot be pushed to do something he doesn't want or she doesn't want. That's my my other question for you, that was an observation of mine, but my other question of you about how you see Shimataji, because when I ask people how they deal with the enormity of being close to God, even Shimataji take human form, some people told me that, okay, you can look at Shimataji as a mother and treat her like a mother and talk about Shimataji, mother, do that, mother, do this, and even address to Shimataji with appellative mother, which I never do it. Or like a guru, which is very, very strong. We all know that Shimataji managed to combine those two characteristics. So one answer I get is from some people was, look, I will never be very, very familiar with Shimataji. I know she's the mother, but I always look at her like my guru who can do whatever to me. So that one keep me safe or sane, or yeah. You agree with that statement?
It's a question that every Sahaja Yogi has to come to their own realization in their own spirit. But there's obviously Shimataji in her Sakara form, the physical form, and then Shimataji in her Nirakara form, which is all-pervading. The all-pervading form is the reality of Shimataji, and it's the one that will be timeless and forever, and every Sahaja Yogi in every corner of the world can get full access to. So God cannot create a circumstance where the Sakara form that you must be in her physical presence to get her darshan, to get the spiritual benefit. That's not, I don't believe the way that Shimataji came to the earth for. Shimataji came to the earth for to give all seekers the same opportunity, whether you're in front or the back. The Sakara form was a Maya, well, absolutely, because she said many times that if I came in my full form with my 1,000 arms and weapons and riding the tiger, no one would be able to come in front of me. But importantly, I think I've heard Anand Varma also say that she also said, but that wouldn't work because it didn't work in the past. She said, Krishna's come, Rama's come, avatars have come before, and human beings see the avatar, they're stunned by it, and their egos, accept that there was an avatar in front of them. But she said it doesn't actually lead to what is needed, which is your spiritual transformation inside. So she said, I could have come as the Devi, and yes, people would have been in awe of me and millions would have come, but they wouldn't have transformed. Yes. They wouldn't have gone down the path of self-realization and unlearning all the A-dharma that's in their subtle system. Because to evolve, you have to unlearn, you have to purify, you have to be able to become a soul who's worthy and go through the stages. Nirvichara, Nirvikalpa, God realization. They're the stages we have to go through. And to achieve that we have to do that. Of course, we have the Trinity's powers, but that's our ascent. And God coming as a Dave in front of you doesn't do that. You just you get awestruck and you fall in front of her, but you're still the same inside.
Can you develop the term of unlearn, please?
All the sins, so-called sins, all the bad things that we've done, all right, we have the opportunity to remove them from our solar system, because to go to heaven, if we are so lucky, we have to go as pure people, as pure souls. And all the bad things, the egos, the superego, all the things that we've accumulated in this life and other lives have to be removed. So we're pure enough to go in front of humanity at that time, and then we get accepted. So that's the part of the ascent. That's part of moving through the Nirvichara to Nirvikalpa, is you have to remove all those things, and only you can do it. All right, only you have to realize
those
like this. I can ascend through Sahaja Yoga, and I leave behind all those bad things that are in my character. But I can do that now. In the past, before Sahaja Yoga, it's a mental exercise. I want to be a good, but inside I'm still bad.
But those things you are talking about are easy one, visible, bad things. What about the good things you believe are good, like your previous beliefs, like your stuff from different culture, like the
Yeah.
Indians who
All
come
right.
from those stuff are not so easy to spot like bad things. And maybe some of them are not bad things, some of them are good things.
One mistake many Sahaja make, and it's an easy one to make, is that they think all the good in the world is only in Sahaja Yoga.
Yes,
All
yes,
right. All right. All the good in the world is only. That's not true.
yes.
All right. There's
That's
lots of good in the world, and there's lots of good people, and they're Muslims, and they're Christians, and they're
yeah,
Hindus, and they're Buddhists, because good is good. All right.
yes,
The only thing is they have a much harder time because they don't have Sahaja Yoga and Shamaji to help them evolve, but they're still good in lots of things, and we should not be so arrogant as to think
yes,
everything in the world, all the religions, all the people, they're all lost, and only Sahajogis are good, and only Sahajogis are going to get to
what's the
heaven.
danger? What's the danger?
Danger.
What's
It's
the
the
danger,
arrogance.
Chris?
It's the arrogance and piousness of the people that think they're saved, and it's not true, because there's good in all the world, and we hope one day that some of those good people will come to Sahaja Yoga. But at the same time, many souls are evolved through their many incarnations, and they're sincere and they're good people, and
So
we should.
what will become Sahaja Yoga if we follow that wrong stuff and that
We become
arrogance?
fundamentalists, and you see it in Sahaja Yoga.
Yes,
We become fundamentalists.
yes,
We become
yeah,
holier than thou, pious, which we believe we're holier than the people around us.
yeah,
We're we're all flawed beings, every one of us, even the Sahajogis, and we are redeemed by the power, the tremendous power and the grace of Shumanaji. And that redeeming power is for us. We have direct access to it, but it's at work through the world for all good people. We just have an inside run where we know the practices, we know we have all the talks. Every day we can put a talk on, have God's voice in our brain. Poor people outside don't have the opportunity, so we have all the chances to evolve quickly and to get to that seat. Now, one important thing is Shumanaji said, not publicly, but she said to other people internally, that not everyone in Sahaja Yoga is going to get to heaven. All right. A lot of people are in Sahaja Yoga and they're trying, but they haven't really got to the core of the essence of what it is to be Sahaja, the authenticity, the integrity, the genuineness, really believing and living those values to become a pure soul. There's 100% of people want to do it. I remember Shamaji once said maybe 10 to 20% of the people are actually in that state where they're going to go to heaven. But the opportunity is there for all of us. It's never too late to be that sort of pure soul in that. And I think Shamaji also said the minimum to get to heaven is Nirvikalpa. You have to get to Nirvikalpa. Nirvichara is not enough to get to heaven. You have
yeah,
to have doubtless awareness in Shamaji and God. You have to have that belief that in your core of your being, that Shamaji is who she is, and that you're here to serve her, and there's nothing else that's real in the world beyond her and her love.
You touch a subject which actually all the subjects you touch it are my favorite, but this one it's very very important because Nirvikalpa Samadhi again, like you said, is the minimum ultimate goal. How should I put it?
One of the key talks is 1985 Vienna, Eva Sarastra establishing the Nirvikalpa talk.
My question to you is,
I was trying to say one thing in that talk.
yeah, sure, sorry.
He says you have to get to Nirvikalpa, and she also says, which is a little bit scary, she said all the Sahaja that don't get to Nirvikalpa will be punished. She said they won't be punished like the non-realized people when the judgment time comes, but they will be punished in that they won't go to heaven. Yeah, and they have to do more work. And she said, but those who are in Nirvikalpa will go to heaven. So this is in the talk. Go and listen to the talk. It's a really, really important talk. 1985, establishment of Nirvikalpa talk. It's really important. And the meditation at the end is amazing.
Yeah, I listen to that talk because I've listened to all the talks in order. So I'm in 1991 now.
All right.
So obviously I don't remember everything, but this one I remember. My question to you is, can you define the doubts? Because in a discussion with 10 Sahaja Yogis, everybody will said, we don't have doubts because we believe in Shimataji, because we believe in Sahaja Yoga, which again, it's a little bit wrong. I mean, we believe in Sahaja Yoga. Saying that, you straight away limitate Sahaja Yoga. When people are asked about doubt or asked to talk about that, they believe someone doubts their capacity to be doubtless, which is not everybody. When it's coming to a discussion, won't recognize that he have doubts. But on the other hand, we are not in the state of doubtless awareness. So we must have some doubts, but we are not conscious about the doubts. What your take on that one?
All right. So my answer to that is Nirvikalpa essentially means doubtless awareness. And that's the state we're talking about. Many yogis want to believe, or are aspiring to be in that state. But to me, the truth of it is in their behavior and in how they conduct themselves and how they are with other yogis, and how are they inherently living the spiritual values on the chakras as a person who's in that space, in that central channel where they're connected to Shimataji every moment of every day. I have met people who were in that state, and many people that claim to be. I'm not there to judge; it's for them. But the way I've always seen it is, you look at the person and how they are and how they conduct themselves, and there's a particular lady who I won't take her name, but when I first came to Sahaja Yoga, she was a person like me in that she came from a sort of privileged background. She was sort of wealthy, and she was conducting herself in the collective as somebody who had no affliction of her caste, of her wealth, of her position. She treated every Sahaja, whether they were from India, or from Europe, from Australia, as the same. And in fact, when in the 80s, when the girls first started coming to Australia, and they may have been unsure about going to a foreign country and going to a new collective, what sort of treatment they would get, she would go to the airport, she'd meet those girls, and she'd just give them their phone number and say, you can come to my house and call me whenever you want and you need help. If you feel any time that you're struggling, or you're not being loved, or you're not being accepted. And she had about 10 or 20 Indian girls who called her mother because of the love that she gave them, and the unconditional love that she showed to those people and to everybody. So to someone like that, it was clear that she was living in Nirvikalpa, that she wasn't putting on the show or the airs of somebody in that state. By her actions, by her selfless love, by her dedication to Shimataji, and in everything that she did, she was trying to create a world that was more aligned to Shimataji's vision. I said, well, this lady is clearly in Nirvikalpa. She's never claimed to be, But you could see in her the way she conducted herself. And that's, to me, the test is how are they? How do they conduct themselves? Do they, in every day, through their deeds, try to make the world aligned to humanity's vision? And that's, to me, a clear indication. And also, they never claim it. Those people who are in Nirvikalpa never claim Nirvikalpa. They just are in that state. And they don't need the approval, disapproval, or the affection of their brothers and sisters, because they've got that connection to humanity. That's how I sort of approach that subject.
Wow.
Now, I'm going to tell you something that happened. A couple of things that are important. I want to share with people. So, in 2008, so I was on the world bodies and NIPC and all these things. And due to the politicals with CP, and there were other people that weren't with CP, and because I was with CP, I was removed from many of these bodies. But, whatever happens, happens. It happens for a reason. So I was coming back from Europe, having been, removed from all these bodies. And I thought, we're going to go to India. I might go to Bellapore for a few weeks just to clear out and to have some time. So I wanted to go to Bellapore, but it was full. So they said, Bellapore's full, you got to go to Nimal Prem up in Delhi. I said, they're running a medical centre. So I said, great. So I went there for 2 weeks, and I loved it. There was a school there, an orphanage, and the medical centre. In the morning, you have breakfast with the kids, and it was beautiful. And something really, really important happened to me. So I was having breakfast one day. It was 2008. And the director of the Nimal Prem orphanage is a lady called Gisela, Auntie Gisela. She's an Austrian grandmother who's gone to run the centre. So she came up to me, and we're having breakfast together. And she challenged me. She said, Chris, I know you're doing all these bodies, and you're a coordinator of Australia. At that time was 2008. And she said, do you think all that work that you're doing will get you to heaven? And I sat there, and I had never thought about it. And I thought, well, Auntie, you do the work and you do the jobs that humanity's after you, and you hope that in some way he'll hold you in good stead. And she said, no, he won't get you to heaven. And I said, why do you say that? And she said, I'll tell you my story. So she said, my daughter was a very talented dancer, and she was in Austria, and she won a scholarship to go to Madras to study dance. And it's a 3-year scholarship. And when Shumaji heard about it, she told Gisela, you can't leave your daughter in India by herself. She's an attractive, blonde, blue-eyed girl, walking back and forth from school. Anything could happen. She get kidnapped. So she said, you must go with her and accompany her to the college. And Gisela said, but Shumaji, I'm working. She said, go to work today. Something will happen. She went to work, and they said, only today. Whoever wants a redundancy and get a payout, they can take it today. Straight away, put a hand up, I'll take it. So she got a payout to leave her job. So she went to India, and she every day going back and forward, she would go walking with her daughter to the college. Then once her job was dropping the daughter and picking up, she had a day free. And one day she was walking, and she realised she walked past an orphanage. So she walked into the orphanage, and she said, look, I've got some hours free in the day when my daughter's dancing. He said, I'm an administrator in Austria, so I can help you with your running an orphanage. So for the 3 years, she learnt the whole orphanage business, administration, admission, all the things. So she learnt the whole thing just like that. And then daughter finished the college. She went back to Delhi, birthday puja. She danced with Shumataji. Shumataji's very happy. She said, come to the house the next day and I'm going to give you a gift. So mother and daughter go to Shumataji the next day. Shumataji's praising the girl, gives her a pearl necklace, which is a stunning gift. And then Shumataji turns to Gisela. And she said, so what did you do for the 3 years that your daughter was dancing? And Gisela said, I've told the story that I was walking past the orphanage. I went in and I started to learn. And then Shumataji said, you're the one that the divine has picked. And Gisela said, what do you mean? She said, I wanted to start my own orphanage, and the desire went to the divine that somebody, a yogi, would learn about it, and they come to me and they would run my orphanage. So they said, you're the one. And Giselle said, Shumataji, having worked in the orphanage, I learned all about, the corruption and the bureaucracy and the police and all the challenges that you have. And I'm a little Austrian grandmother. And how can I be the director of an orphanage coming up against all those challenges? And then Gisela told me that Shumataji told her something that changed my life. So Shumataji said to Gisela that This is what will happen at the end of every Sahaja Yogi's life, is that at the end, they all stand in front of me, and I will ask each Sahaja Yogi this question. I made you, I created you, I put all the gifts in you, all the talents that you have that you use in the world for your benefit, I put in you. And the only thing that you made was your ego, which is no use to me. But all the talents and all the skills I made. So the question I have for you is, what did you do with all the gifts I gave you to promote Sahaja Yoga and to make the world a better place? And then Shrimataji told Gisela, when you come at the end and stand in front of me, you'll say, Shrimataji, I ran your orphanage for you. So Shrimataji said, up to you now. What do you want to do? So Gisela said, well, put it that way, I have no choice. I have to say yes. And she said, but Shrimataji said, don't worry, I know the challenges that you have. I'll be with you. Your mother will be with you every step of the way because I want this project to succeed. And Gisela said, that's how it started. And she said, every step of the way, I felt Shrimataji with me, helping me, do this work. So Giselle then, at that breakfast in 2008, she said, I've got my story ready for when I go up. And she pointed at me and she said, what's your story? And she said, don't say you're a coordinator or you're on the World Council or you're in IPC. She said, that's the stuff that you do. She said, you need a spiritual story about how, through your efforts, you helped use your talents to make this world more aligned to Shrimataji's vision. And then she got up and left and she said, think about it. And I sat there and I said, this little Austrian grandmother has just changed my life, because she's right. You need to have a story to tell Shrimataji about what you've done. So I went thoughtless. I said, what is my story going to be? And then, like a flash, something came into my mind. And I went back to a time in 1992. What had happened when Shrimataji would come to Australia, she would tour, Perth, Melbourne, Sydney, she'd go all the cities. And what many of us who could, we'd take 2 weeks off and we'd travel with her. Not in her plane, but we'd drive or fly and we'd go to all the cities and go to the programs and go to all the pujas. It was fantastic. 2 weeks of just programs and pujas and being with the yogis. So in 1992, I did that. And the last city on the tour was in Canberra, the capital. And we had the program the previous night, and we went for a picnic with Shrimataji top of a mountain. And we're sitting having a picnic, having our sandwiches, and Shrimataji's on a chair under a beautiful shade of a tree. And out of the blue, Shrimataji said, I'm very happy. This last 2 weeks has been a great tour. Lots of people have come. You've all worked very hard. She said, ask of me any question and I'll answer it. And everyone's going, wow, Shrimataji's God. We can ask any questions. So we get God to answer it. So people started asking all sorts of questions, many of them personal, about their life or their health or who they were in a past life, or would this be their last life? And all these questions were very personal being asked. And I was sitting there and I thought, this is a unique opportunity. Maybe we should ask something a bit more profound. So it came to my turn. Shrimataji said, Chris, what's your question? So I asked Shrimataji, what is your vision for us in the future? So particularly for Australia. So in the future, when you're not here, what is it that you'd like us to do or to be or to do? And Shrimataji said, very good question. So she said, up until now, she said, Sahaja Yogi is a little bit like children. They do some good things, they please you. Sometimes they fight and I have to go and separate them and, make peace with them. But they're still growing into their own maturity. And as a mother, I love them, but, there's much more for them to advance and to develop. But she said, one day in the future, when you are no longer children and you become more into your powers, you will do what I do. You will take up my work. And what is the work of Adi Shakti? She said, in this incarnation, it's to go into the world and spread love and to spread self-realization and to transform the world to make it more aligned to what God's world is. She said, I've done it all my life. But she said, when I'm not here, particularly for Australia and Asia, there are many countries I couldn't go to that you need to go to and take up my work. And that's my aspiration for you as Australians. And we're all sitting there and we're listening and we're very profound. But I realized from 1992 to that morning, sitting in that balcony at Nimal Prem, I realized we hadn't done that work. So that realization to me was, now is the time that we take up what Shimaji asked us to do. And we take Sahaja Yoga into Asia. So I came back to Australia and I rang my good friend John Smiley in Music of Joy. And I told him the same story. And I said, John, I'm an organizer. I can get the tools organized. I can create the stage. I can get everything done. But I can't go on the stage and do what you do. You're the magic. You can do the bhajans and you can bring the seekers. I can create the pathway, but together, you and I can do some great things together. And I said, when you go up and stand for Shamaji, and she asks, what's your story? Then you can say that I started the Music of Joy tours through Southeast Asia. And it'll be a good story to tell. And then John said to me, let's get started. So then 2008 was the first Music of Joy tour. So I did the work. We went to China, Philippines, Japan, Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam in about 3 weeks. It was manic. We went to all these countries. We did all these programs. And one of the boys on the tour videoed it. All right, and they came back. It's fantastic. Everyone was just over the moon. And they did a video of the whole tour. And then I sent it off to Hari in Genoa. And about 2 weeks later, I was at the middle of the night. My phone rang. I picked the phone up. It was 2 a.m. It was Hari. So I picked the phone up and said, Hari, you know what? So no, told me, I have to tell you what happened. I said, what happened? He said, I was sitting around in Genoa, and she said, Shamaji had not spoken for about a long time, weeks, just sitting in the chair, not speaking. And we're with Sir CP, and, he said, can you put something on the TV? I want to watch something. And everything that had videos and things he'd seen before. So Hari was looking around. He saw my CD. He said, oh, sir, this is what Chris and the Music of Joy people did in Asia. So he put the video into the TV and it started. And then he said, as soon as it started, Shamaji opened her eyes and started watching it. She was asleep before then. They watched it for about 10 minutes. And then Sir said, oh, very good work. We'll send a note to the Music of Joy people and Chris to say, this is great to see. We commend you. Keep the work going. So he told Hari to turn the TV off. So we then turned the TV off, and Shamaji said, leave it on. She hadn't spoken for a month. Everyone turned and looked around. And they put it back on. And the video was 45 minutes, going through all these countries, self-realization, music, the programs, got to the end, and then Shamaji started to clap. And then she said, go downstairs, get everybody, all the cleaners, the cooks, the gardeners, the nurses, the doctors, bring them in the room. Everyone came in the room. She said, put the video back on. So put the video back on. She said, this is the work I want to see happen in the world. So Hari rang me and said, this is the work she wants to see. She's very happy. Go harder. Don't stop. So from 2008, we used to go Music of Joy tours twice a year. From 2008, and we're still doing it in 2026. So the reason why I want to share this is that I do it because what I was told, what Shamaji told Gisela about going up, having your story ready, or my work with Music of Joy and doing the tour work, when I go up, Shamaji asked me, Chris, what's your story? I'm not going to say I was a coordinator or I was on the World Council or I was an NIPC. I'm going to say, Shamaji, I listened to what you told me in 1992 in that park in Canberra about going into Asia and doing your work. And that's what I tried to do with Music of Joy. And we hope that work was auspicious and pleasing to you. So the reason I share this story is to everyone listening to this video is the essence of what Gisela said, I felt the vibrations of and were true. And that eventually one day we will all face humanity and we all need to have our story, our own individual story about what we have done with all the gifts that humanity has given us to help make this world more Sahaj and more aligned to her vision. And it's not anything anyone will judge you on. It's between you and your mother. And that's what we, all the people in Music of Joy, have done. We even, for the 19, so it's almost 18 years we've been doing it. And just alone in India, the people that we work with estimate we've given realization to something like 500,000 people. So even though it's not a numbers game and it's not like that, it's about going out in the world, using her powers through music, and to spread her message. And that's what we're trying to do. And I think that's, for me, the most important thing, in Sahaja Yoga is about what Shimaji said. Adi Shakti's work, Advent, is about love and spreading her love to the seekers of the world. That's the core of Sahaja Yoga. Everything else that we do is in support of that. And by doing that, we transform ourselves. I've seen through the Music of Joy tours people who've gone, who over the years become deeper, better, more surrendered people through doing that work and putting themselves in that space and being a channel, instrument of her love.
At that stage, I want to add the fact that as we speak, the last tour of Music of Joy this year just finished 1 day ago, was a tour in Tasmania for probably about 4 cities from Hobart to Devonport, Port Arthur, yes. So I was fortunate to know some people from that band, and they sent me some clips, which straight away, just before I enter with you today, Chris, they reach few hundred of viewers straight away. Boom, boom, boom. So I want to tell you, people who are watching us, if they're watching now, as we speak, or a bit later, just if you want a glimpse of what's happened, you can look there. But Chris have more beautiful footages and video about the whole performance. So on his channel, you can see Music of Joy much better cover than here. So probably it's better to give me my give me your link to your channel. Actually, I have it. I will put it there, so for the people to can access. Yeah.
And just the channel that we put together to share this information, we aren't promoting anyone. We're not, trying to say that we're any good or we're better or anything. All we're trying to do is to share the work that we're doing and to encourage more people to do this and to spread the love. It's all that we're doing is to spread the love, encourage people. Anyone can do it. Even though John is he's a great musician, he's a great bhakta, but that's not, Shimaji will work through anyone. Anyone who's got a pure heart and a pure desire can do this work. It's not about your musicianship. It's about your bhakti. It's about the offerings that you make. It doesn't have to be music. It can just be a tour with self-realization. It can be anything. As long as we are advocates and advents of Shimaji's love, and we are channels of that love, and we become more empowered to go out into the world, and that's what I think would be auspicious and pleasing to our mother.
I have another subject about music and self-realization, and the way how some of the tour with music, because there are many groups now who are doing also self-realization, but uh, I was wondering if you still have some other stories, because we jumped from 83 to 92 briefly, and after that to 2005. I'm sure you have more stories, but I don't want to push you. My question is, do you think we can have another another session sometimes.
Sure. To see
Uh,
what people think of this one, and if they have any questions or specific things. I think one of the things that one of the reasons why I did the videos and the interviews with people on the channel that I've got is, again, it's not to promote anybody or to put anybody on a pedestal. It was for one reason only, and this is the reason why I did the channel. Is you go onto YouTube or the Nimla Vidya app and you have thousands of talks with Shimaji, and that's our primary source. That's our source of inspiration. But there's one aspect that's perhaps missing, and that is to everyone inside yoga today is the question or the aspiration: what was it like to be in the presence of God? What did it feel like? How did you experience it? What did you gain from it? And all the people that I've tried to interview, with Jamel and Yogi Mahajan and Dr. Bandika and all those things, I always try to focus on what was it like to be in the presence of Shamaji, and how did it feel as a human, as a bhakta? What was it like for you? So they can relate through their own experiences, the tremendous love of our mother. And that's what I've really tried to do. And in some cases, some of the yogis have spoken in a very, profound way about, about what it was like when they first met Shamaji in person. There's one interview on my channel with a guy called Bill Brander, who went to Shimodaji in 1981 in India tour, the first India tour, and he talks about going to that suburban hall in Bombay where there was a function for CCP as being elected to the IMO, and after the official function was over and he left, then it turned into a Sahaj function with Shimodaji. And they said the Shamaji was sitting there as the wife. And when Sir left, they said she took off her scarf and she let her hair out. And they said that instant she turned from being Nimala Shrivasta into Nimala Devi, the goddess. And they all felt that awe. And they were all invited to go in front of Shamaji to her feet and put their head on her feet. And Uncle Bill was talking about, like, if he had some little doubt about who Shamaji was, he said he put his head down and he felt his kundalini blast up his back and coming through his Sarastra with like a hurricane. And he said at that moment there was no doubt, there was no concept other than who the person in front of us was, God, and this was the moment of lifetimes. And when he speaks, there are tears in his eyes. You can feel he's still reliving the beauty of that moment, and that's really what I've tried to do with that channel, is to try and capture as many of those moments so people have it for the future, to say, yes, we have the talks, but the yogis who were there, what was it like to be in front of Shimodaji as a human being?
Are you ready to talk about this subject and few more others? I feel my notes here uh, in a next
Yeah, sure.
next meeting, because obviously we can cut our discussions, but I like to be flawless, and better to start another one.
Sure. It's
I
gone. It's
will
gone for a while, and you might need to edit this. Please edit it as you feel you need to. And yeah, I'm interested in people's reactions or their feedback. Um, as I said, I do this not because I'm trying to push any agenda or promote anything. I just do this because whatever blessings that we've had in our lifetime with Shamaji, it should be shared. They're not for us. Shamaji's told many times, the things I've given you in this life are not for you solely. They're for you to take out and give to other people to help the world. And that's what I've tried to do.
just want
Very
to
nice.
end our discussion with this picture. We get together in 2019. We didn't change a lot.
A little grayer.
Since then, no, we didn't change a lot. Not at all. That was last time when we meet, and I want to thank you that you make possible to meet again after 7 years. And I will take like a promise that we will meet again sooner rather than later to add as more is possible from your stories, your experience,
We will
both.
meet again at Uluru next year. We're going back. Is
No,
it
don't, no,
2027?
don't play with me. Really?
We're just starting to make the original
Oh,
questions and ask the
praise the
event
Lord.
people, and
Jai
we
Shri
need
Mataji.
some time to plan it. But we'll meet again at the feet of Uluru, in front of our Lord Sri Ganesha, and we welcome the world to come and join us.
Yeah. One of my desire. On the other hand, I have something else to tell you about the link between our countries. That's another subject, country or chakra, because you cannot take the country from the chakra and vice versa. But
So,
you know that New Zealand is the realm of Sri Kartikeya, and
yes.
we didn't were too. I mean, we knew the information since we come from in Sahaja Yoga, but we didn't give too much importance until we come in this country. In 2001, I came,
Mm.
but took a while until that concept imbibed in me. Um, so I was both my wife and I, and a few other people from New Zealand, have the desire to have a common puja. I'm not sure if you can do that. Not obviously not in Uluru, but I don't know. Think about that. Think about that because no Muladhara without Sri Ganesha and Sri
Okay.
Kartikeya,
Okay.
both of
Deshmanaji.
them.
Deshmanaji.
Thank you very much, Chris.
Deshmanaji.
Jai Shri Mataji.
Enjoyed very much. It was a very nice conversation. And remember, when you go up, everyone's got to have a story. Deshmanaji.
Jai Shri Mataji.